Hey, good morning, everybody. 10 Tampa Bay meteorologist Grant Gilmore here along with you right now. About 9:50 Thursday morning. Good to see you. Hopefully, you're having a good day so far. Sun is up. It's a beautiful morning here across Tampa Bay. Not really the case, though, down towards Cancun. Checking out some of the webcams out there, and kind of rainy, a little breezy. Tropical depression trying to develop down that way. And that's what we'll be talking about over the next 10 minutes or so. I've got your comments rolling over here on the side. I'd love to chat with you. And if you've got any questions, I'll try to answer those to the best of my ability. But let's go ahead and show you the latest here as we track the latest on Invest 91L. Not much development overnight. But it is starting to show some signs of organization. So let me take you down to where the center of the storm is. It's really right over Cancun right now. However, there is a relatively broad area of circulation. So when you look at it at face value, you see all those oranges and reds over there. Those are all the thunderstorms, those really bubbling big thunderstorms, or that convection that's trying to get this whole thing started. But if you look at the larger circulation, or at least the attempt at circulation, you see there's a general counterclockwise flow around that invest icon right there. And that's where we're looking at this whole thing trying to consolidate and eventually maybe do something more like that, as opposed to that broader circulation around that central area that is slowly moving to the north. So that's what we're waiting for. Once it really organizes and gets into an organized circulation there, the National Hurricane Center will go ahead and determine that this is a tropical depression, or if they find that the wind speeds are high enough up there around 39 miles per hour, then it very well could just go straight to Tropical Storm Alex. So that's where it is right now, and that's kind of what we're waiting on. Big picture here, the red hashed area, not a cone, it's just the area where we could see that happen. So if it doesn't happen today, maybe it happens tomorrow. Anywhere within that red hashed area is where we could see that development, though we do expect it to happen somewhere in probably the left half of that hashed area, and then just maintain a tropical depression or maybe even a tropical storm as it tracks to the north and east. But right now the Hurricane Center giving it a high likelihood, or an 80% chance of developing over the next day or two. Next 5 days, that's kind of irrelevant. 5 days down the road, this system's going to be out of here, moving away from the state of Florida. One thing that's going to help us with this is going to be the hurricane hunters. Hurricane hunters are going to be taking off from Biloxi, Mississippi at Keesler Air Force Base here around 10 o'clock. That's the plan for the day, is to get the first hurricane hunter mission on the way. They're going to be flying across the Gulf of Mexico, and then they should be getting to the storm in about an hour or after that. So they'll get there, and then they'll start doing their alpha patterns and kind of crisscrossing their way and around that general area for Invest 91L. And that'll give us a couple of things. They'll be able to run some samples of the wind speeds. They'll drop some dropsondes that'll go down to the bottom, and they'll be able to get an estimate for what those wind speeds are. And then they'll start to get a feel for what the wind flow is around the center of the storm, or at least where they estimate the center to be. So this flight's going to really help out. It might actually be on this flight and the data that they get from it that will determine on whether or not this is a tropical depression, maybe not yet, and we'll go from there. And then also, all that information that the hurricane hunters get is then going to go into the forecast models, which will then start to give us probably a better idea of what happens, though it looks like the forecast models are beginning to consolidate and come to somewhat of an agreement on where the center ultimately forms and then where it tracks. The latest runs of the models are really giving a potential landfall of whether a depression or a storm somewhere between Fort Myers and Marco Island. These white lines are just some of the ensemble runs that go a little bit farther north, maybe a little bit farther south, but really I'm kind of eyeing Fort Myers to Marco Island, to where we could see the center of the storm path pass. Now the effects, or those impacts, the rain and maybe some breezy conditions, are going to extend well out from that area. But that's kind of the track that we're thinking is going to take right now. All of that south of Tampa Bay, meaning the worst of the impacts, which may not be that bad, will stay to the south. Here's the latest run of the European model showing you how that rain, and we might start to see some fringe showers, maybe a very, very weak band, if you can even call it that, moving into Tampa through Friday evening, more so into South Florida through Friday afternoon, and then it's going to continue to approach as we go through Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, and then there you see that potential landfall sometime Saturday evening. Heavier rain being sheared off towards the east. That's going to be the main thing with this system, is that all the precipitation is going to stay generally on the east side of the storm. So if you were to draw a line from north to south, all this upper level wind shear, we call it, blowing across the top of the storm and blowing all those thunderstorms over to the east side, meaning that anything on the north, northwest, and western side of the system is going to be relatively not just rain free, but potentially cloud free as well. So once that axis, if you will, passes off to the east, then we're going to see clearing conditions on the backside, and there you see where Tampa is kind of on the north side of all of that. So we might not get much at all as the system moves in. Now, this is just one of the models. This is the European model, so I think there's you have to take that with a grain of salt. Some of the forecast models don't develop it to be this strong or this far north, so there's still some uncertainty in that forecast. But you see by Sunday morning, most of the rain is at least out of Tampa, with just some trailing showers over South Florida and then over to the East Coast, and then there it continues. It might even strengthen quite a bit more as it heads up the Atlantic Southeast coast, but kind of just heading out towards Bermuda, not really a concern for the United States. Let me show you here. Let me show you these are the American model, comparing the American model with the European model. The yellow circle is the European model, and then the white circle is the American model. Here, let me try to show you this. So this would be the European model. That would be the American model. Just showing the difference of location. The European model is a little bit slower in its arrival time compared to the GFS, and that takes the storm probably a little bit longer to move over some of the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico. So that's why it might strengthen a little bit more. But also the GFS model is really having a hard time figuring out, well, where is the center of this storm anyway? It's kind of a messy, lopsided, just mess of a storm. But you see by Saturday evening, looks like the European model still, let's go back. The European model still holding it off to the west a little bit. Meanwhile, the GFS model is clearing it out of here. So a couple of situations there that we'll have to watch. I think we'll have a better handle once we finally get this system organized and we can start to actually track an actual center with it. But until then, I'm sort of speculating on where things will be when. I think the models are trying their best, but they just don't have a good starting point with all this yet. Regardless of where it goes, though it looks like it's mainly South Florida, or really how strong it is, which it doesn't look like it's much stronger than a weak tropical storm. Heavy rain is going to be the main issue, main concern, just because it's going to produce that threat for some flash flooding. So it looks like up to 8 inches. Some forecast models saying close to 9 inches in extreme southern Florida, looking at like the Keys, Miami. Now, if you get that much rain in Miami, that's a concern, because you're going to see the threat for some urban flooding, heavy rainfall, and all of that's going to be hard to just distribute over a highly urban area. And then as you go to the north, you see that rainfall drops off very quickly. Fort Myers, I kind of painted in that 4 to 6 range. I think Fort Myers is probably more on the end of maybe like 3 to 4 inches of rain, maybe a little bit less than that. And then areas south and east will get more rain than that. You head up into the Sebring area, central Florida, maybe 1 to 3 inches. Tampa Bay, I mean, I don't think many spots around Tampa Bay see more than 1 inch of rain. I think it's probably more realistically anywhere between 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch of rain. You see how that kind of fans out across the area from your 2.5 to 3 inches of rain in Northport to 1/4 of an inch in Tampa Bay, and then you're talking like 1/10 of an inch of rain in Brooksville. And that might even that might not even be from the tropical system directly, maybe more indirect, just kind of pop-up afternoon showers and storms as a result of the heating of the day that we would see Friday into Saturday. So really on the fringe with this system here in Tampa Bay. This is how it looks right now, specifically for Tampa Bay. I expect this tropical depression, which would be tropical depression number 1, to likely develop today or tomorrow. So we'll see if that comes out. Hurricane hunters, again, on their way to go check out the system right now. They might have something for the 11 o'clock advisory. We'll see. It'll be kind of up against it. But that 11 o'clock time frame would be when they could potentially, maybe they'll, what I could see them doing is get the data from this flight, and then they might start saying, okay, we're going to start issuing advisories for a potential tropical cyclone, right? So they could do a potential tropical cyclone and then we might actually start getting advisories for a tropical depression at 5 o'clock this evening. So we'll see how that pans out. It's always interesting to see how this happens, how the genesis of these tropical systems come to fruition here. So we'll wait and see with that. Regardless, I think we could start to see some fringe showers across the southern part of the Tampa Bay area, mainly down to Sarasota through Friday afternoon, maybe into Friday evening, lingering, and then we really start to see a little bit more widespread rain move up from the south as we go into the day on Saturday. It'll be a little bit breezy through Saturday as well, but I mean nothing out of the ordinary, nothing that's really gonna be a concern for us. I think it's just wind gusts around 25, maybe 30 miles per hour if you're closer to the coast, like Siesta Key, Venice Beach, those areas you might see some wind gusts 35 to 40 miles per hour. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. Just kind of breezy on Saturday, but once the sun starts to come back out, it'll still be breezy on Sunday, but it should turn out to be a pretty nice second half to the weekend. And honestly, I mean, Saturday, there's a very good possibility that, especially north of I-4, even in Tampa, St. Pete, that it's kind of a mix of sun and clouds, maybe a spotty shower on Saturday, but it may end up being an okay day on Saturday too. So that's kind of the hope right now. There's still some uncertainty, as there typically is when you're kind of 36 hours out from the main impacts with this, and we're still talking about a system that hasn't even developed yet. So it's always hard for us to say with a great deal of confidence where this system is going to go, what those impacts are going to be, where those impacts are going to be when the system hasn't even really taken shape yet. So we'll watch it. We'll keep you posted, and appreciate you guys tuning in for this live. We'll continue to post more updates as we get more information. If it's not live, then we'll just post some updates on our Facebook, YouTube channels, as well as on Twitter, and of course on 10tampabay.com, and you can also get that through our app as well. So a lot of different ways to get the information. We're watching it closely. The team's going to be here, and we'll be here through this event as we always are. If you've got any questions, by all means, let me just make sure I didn't miss anybody crying out saying, hey, what about this? What about that? Doesn't look like we've got much here. So that's all I've got, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your Thursday. Enjoy that sunshine, and we will keep you posted. Take care.